On the evening of February 19th, 1986, a heavy man in a cream-colored Cadillac reached for his car door outside a Salvation Army halfway house in Baton Rouge. His name was Adler Berryman Barry Seal, once the favorite pilot of Pablo Escobar, the world's most powerful drug lord. Before Seal could open the door, 3 men stepped from the shadows. In less than 3 seconds, 80 rounds tore through the windshield. Seal slumped sideways, blood spilling onto the seat beside a briefcase filled with federal documents, evidence that could have brought down both cartel leaders and covert U.S. operatives. Everyone knew it was coming. The DEA begged for protection. The FBI warned of hitmen. Even Seal told his children goodbye, saying, "When, not if." But how did one pilot from Louisiana become the most dangerous man to both sides of a secret war? Born to fly, Barry Seal lived for the sky. At 16, he earned his pilot's license. By 26, he was one of TWA's youngest 747 captains, flying from New York to Rome. Colleagues called him fearless, perhaps too fearless. He hand-flew storms over the Atlantic like a crop duster, but the routine bored him. In the late 1970s, America's drug trade exploded. Smugglers needed pilots who could fly low, fast, and invisible. Seal fit perfectly. The first flight in 1976, Seal borrowed a small twin-engine plane and ran 700 pounds of Jamaican marijuana into Louisiana. The flight took 4 hours and earned him $35,000, almost a quarter of his annual salary. He never looked back. By 1979, he owned 3 planes and was running cocaine from Colombia. That December, he met Jorge Ochoa of the Medellin cartel. The offer, fly 1,000 kilos per trip for $1 million a run. Seal didn't hesitate. Flying barely 200 feet above the Gulf, he slipped beneath radar. He modified his Aerostar for long-range runs and mapped every radar gap between Central America and Louisiana. He was efficient, daring, and untouchable. By 1982, Seal earned $1.5 million per flight. He bought mansions, sports cars, and offshore accounts. Escobar nicknamed him El Gordo, the Fat One, for how much profit he brought in. DEA agent Ernst Jacobson later said Seal's flights alone dropped U.S. cocaine prices by 30%. One man's work had shifted the entire market, but every flight drew more eyes. The fall in March 1984, DEA agents seized Seal's C-123 cargo plane at Fort Lauderdale Airport, 400 pounds of uncut cocaine worth $34 million. As they cuffed him, Seal smiled. "Gentlemen, you just caught the biggest fish in the Caribbean. The question is, what are you willing to pay for the whole ocean?" He wasn't bluffing. He knew every smuggling route, every bribe, every name from Bogota to Miami, and the cartel didn't yet know he was caught. Within days, Seal struck a deal. He'd cooperate with the DEA, keep flying, and deliver proof against his former partners in exchange for leniency. That's when the CIA appeared. Through Vice President George H.W. Bush's anti-drug task force, Seal was recruited into a mission to prove Nicaragua's Sandinista government was tied to cocaine trafficking. Intelligence that could justify U.S. funding of the anti-communist Contras. The DEA fitted his plane with hidden cameras. CIA techs added encrypted radios and sensors. Seal wasn't just a smuggler anymore. He was a spy. The Nicaragua flight on June 25, 1984, Seal flew into Los Brasiles airfield near Managua, Nicaragua. Waiting for him were Pablo Escobar, Carlos Lader, and Federico Vaughn, a Nicaraguan official. Pretending to check his plane's balance, Seal snapped photos. Escobar handling cocaine, Vaughn counting cash. It was explosive evidence. The DEA planned to use it quietly to build cases. But when Colonel Oliver North saw the photos, he saw propaganda. Seal dropped the paper. "They killed me," he said. He was right. The Medellin cartel immediately offered $1 million for his death. The doomed informant. The DEA urged Seal to disappear into witness protection. He refused. He had a family in Baton Rouge and believed he could still outfly danger. From late 1984 to 1985, he testified before federal grand juries, helping indict dozens of traffickers, including Lader, who got life plus 135 years. But every testimony made him more visible. Federal agencies debated who should protect him, None took full responsibility. His security became intermittent. Then came Judge Frank Polozola. The sentencing at Seal's sentencing in December 1985, prosecutors praised him as the DEA's most valuable informant and requested probation. Judge Polozola disagreed. "You imported tons of poison into our communities," he said. "Your cooperation doesn't erase your crimes." He sentenced Seal to 6 months at a halfway house, the Salvation Army Center on Airline Highway. No guards, no gates, a public address. Seal's lawyer warned, "This is a death sentence." The judge didn't budge. By January 1986, both the FBI and DEA had confirmed cartel hitmen were in the U.S. looking for him. The warnings were ignored. Seal told friends, "Where would I go that $1 million wouldn't find me?" February 19, 1986. At 5:52 p.m., Seal parked his Cadillac outside the halfway house. 3 Colombian assassins, Miguel Velez, Luis Quintero Cruz, and Bernardo Vasquez, were waiting. They fired 80 rounds in 6 seconds. 15 bullets hit Seal. The classical music on his radio kept playing as his head fell against the window. By 6 p.m., police had the scene surrounded. Within hours, all 3 gunmen were caught. They were sentenced to life in prison without parole. During questioning, one reportedly said, "We were told the American government wanted him dead too." No one followed up. Secrets buried in the years after, fragments surfaced. Declassified files confirmed Seal had ferried weapons to the Contras on return trips from Nicaragua, the same covert program run by Oliver North. He knew which U.S. officials allowed cartel cocaine shipments in exchange for funding secret wars. He knew names, banks, and timelines. Former DEA agent Celerino Castillo later said, "Barry Seal was killed because he knew too much about the CIA's drug running." The official story never changed. The Medellin cartel ordered the hit, but investigators discovered the assassin's motel was paid with a card tied to an old CIA front company. Aftermath. 2,000 people attended Barry Seal's funeral. The DEA sent flowers. The CIA didn't. Days later, Seal's widow received an unmarked envelope containing $250,000 in bearer bonds and a note. "Stay quiet." She didn't. In 1997, she filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the CIA, alleging they'd exposed him. It was dismissed on national security grounds. To some, he was a criminal who got what he deserved. To others, he was a patriot used and discarded by his own government. The truth lies somewhere in between. Because for all his greed and bravado, Seal also glimpsed how power truly works, and paid for that knowledge with his life. He once said, "The sky's the only place they can't reach me." But even that, in the end, wasn't true.